SA Wales. South Africa win the first test, make 14 changes for the second one.
From the left touchline, Gareth Anscombe has nailed the conversion, and Wales are ahead. Almost the steal affected, but not quite. Elstad. Hendrickse. Gelanted, it's lost forward by Vincent Koch. And Wales have their first victory ever in South Africa.
So it's nicely poised, of course. Northern Hemisphere drawing 1-1 with the Southern Hemisphere across 4 different series. That's the Argy-Bargy against the Jocks. That's us against the Mix. That's the Poms against the Oz. And it's the Taffs against the Yarps. Wayne Pivac, head of the decider. First up, congratulations, mate. That was just a thrilling winner. My boy. And this is Gareth Anscombe. That conversion under pressure with all those pitchfork-carrying, bug-eyed Bok fans screaming behind was just magnificent, mate.
Yeah, look, it was a super atmosphere, I've got to say, and the week before was exactly the same, because you got the South Africans who haven't played because of COVID in front of their fans since winning the World Cup, so it's been a couple of special weeks for us, but yeah, very, very happy for Gareth that he could kick that winning conversion.
Wayne, there's a lot of talk when they dropped all those players for the second test that it was disrespectful and everything else. Did you care about that, or as far as you're concerned, you're just coaching your red against their greens?
Yeah, that's pretty much how it was, Martin. It was really a matter for us after the first test. The frustration of that result was making sure we used that as motivation and focused on what we had to do to get a more disciplined performance, I guess, to try and get a result. And we knew that no matter what 15 players or whoever ran out in those green jerseys, that they're very, very passionate rugby players and very good rugby players, no matter what team they put out, because they've got a lot of depth here in South Africa.
So after the first test, I mean, that's just crushing to lose one like that, isn't it? And also the discipline aspects of it. I want to bring you back to those cards in a second, but it's all about belief. So you've obviously gone down there absolutely convinced, like the Irish here in New Zealand, that you can go and do something that hasn't been done before, which is not just win a test on that foreign soil, but actually win this goddamn thing.
Yeah, well, certainly that's what we set out to do from the onset when we came together in the Vale Hotel in Cardiff. And it's really a matter of obviously we were disappointed with our Six Nations performance and making sure that, we put out a very strong side, the strongest we could at the time, and it's certainly what we did. And, it was really making sure we had a game plan that we felt that could work for us on the high veld, and it nearly paid off in game one. And obviously we were the lucky ones in game two, but certainly to go to Cape Town 1-1, it's really fantastic for our group, and we're really looking forward to the opportunity.
Wayne Pivac on the platform for us. For all our younger listeners, and that explain the high veld. How difficult is it to win at that altitude? And not just that, but they bring a different attitude up there. Yeah,
well, certainly the locals, they let you know that you're coming into enemy territory. It's if you looked at the odd haka there where the old thumb goes across the throat, that was happening from every second person we bumped into. Look, they're very passionate. They support their team no end, and certainly for us it was a case of going there at altitude where it's a little bit more difficult if you're not used to it. Just running around and getting your breath, really. It takes a while. We were lucky enough to come in 9 days before the first test, a couple of days earlier than we'd normally get there, and we did a lot of work at altitude manufactured back home in our environment. So when we got there, we felt pretty good after a few days, to be honest, and certainly after 2 weeks, it's a little bit different coming down to sea level.
The discipline, though, in that first test, when you're down to about 3 men, I mean, I'm exaggerating, of course, mate, but when you get down to 12 and 13, it starts getting ridiculous. I don't know whether you've been able to watch too much of the Ireland All Blacks series or the Aussies versus England, but we're getting really confused here, Wayne. We know what the story is with the head contact and things, and it's so important to protect the players' heads, but these deliberate knock-on rulings are just leaving everyone confused and bemused, and it's wrecking the game.
Well, look, it's disappointing for any team. When you lose a player, if you lose 2, that's really, really tough. And in our case, I think we lost 3 there for a while. So against any side, it makes it really, really tough. But yeah, some of the rulings, I just look back at our game in the first test. We had 4 yellow cards, and a couple of them, we weren't happy with, and subsequently, we've been told that we were unlucky, and but it doesn't help at the time, of course. But some of them, a hand goes out these days. If the ball hits a hand with you going into a tackle or putting your hand out to sort of spook someone to throw a ball over the top, if it hits your hand, you're a goner, really.
So when they say it's unlucky, so what's happened is World Rugby's kind of whispered to the All Blacks that, the Adi Savia situation with the substitutes and that, which was just so weird, that in actual fact that the referees got it wrong. But again, it's way too late after the match, isn't it? So what do you get told? Oh, okay, actually we did get that wrong. What frustrates me is why don't they come out publicly and say this and just put somebody up and say explain these rulings? We're all human, mate. We all understand people making mistakes.
Yeah, look, there's a process we go through, win, lose or draw, and we get to send clips in and ask for clarification on things, and it's a very, very good system in that we get answers very, very quickly, so we can move on. But it certainly doesn't change the result. And look, we've been on the back end of some of them, on the receiving end, and we've been in games where the opposition have had a couple of tough ones. So it is difficult because you've got human error involved, obviously, but these days, you've got TMOs and extra set of eyes here and there, so we'd like to think that they should be getting more right than certainly wrong.
Wayne Pivac, champion Welsh coach, with us. 2020, you win one match in the Six Nations. 2021, you win the Six Nations. This year, again, you have it tough. You win one game, and then you go to the box. You're down to 12 men. You lose that one. So before this test in Bloemfontein, I know that you know exactly what the ups and downs of rugby are. Did you wear much flack? And if you do, how do you cope with it? And how do you ride that snake, the ups and the downs?
Yeah, it is a roller coaster. We know that when we get into these jobs. But look, certainly the Welsh public, it's a national sport as it is in New Zealand, and no doubt it's no different in New Zealand at the moment. Where if you lose a game, it affects the mood of a nation, if you like. But certainly after the Six Nations, we're under a lot of pressure. I was under a lot of pressure, and that just makes you roll your sleeves up and work, a lot harder, because we're probably harder on ourselves than anybody else's. And, we're looking forward to getting away and getting overseas, which we haven't done, since I've been there, certainly because of COVID. So this is our first trip away for any length of time. And, the guys have come together really, really well, and we knew that this was an opportunity for us. A lot of people saw it as a 3-0 whitewash to South Africa before we got here, but from our point of view, it was about working hard, and we've got a good group of players together, and we always believed that we could win one, if not two, and win a series. So very, very disappointed not to have won the first one. We worked very, very hard in that game, and it was just the last quarter of the game, and 12 and 13 against 15, we weren't quite good enough, but certainly pleased to be going to Cape Town 1-1, and but it's just the nature of the beast, Martin. You take the good with the bad, and at the moment we're having a reasonable series, so the public back home are fairly supportive of what's going on in South Africa.
Yeah, I suppose I'm asking the question because, look, I live in a world of criticism as well. That's what happens when you actually do a performance job in the public eye, and we all recognise that. I just hate it when it gets personal, and there's been some really nasty stuff thrown around at Fozzie, and especially from our own media, gutless kind of articles and sort of anonymous posts and things. Do you follow a lot of social media, or when it gets rough, do you ignore it? Do you just get on with what you're doing, or does it actually get through to you?
No, I'm not on social media, never have been. I took some advice when I was young, and I've stuck to that. But you're aware whether you're coaching in New Zealand or Wales, South Africa would be the same, I guess. That if you lose games of rugby, that there's going to be a lot of talk. There's going to be a lot of questions asked, and people have their opinions. Wales is noted for people giving you their opinion, but for me, it's just, I don't take it personally. It's a job. You do your best when you select a side. It's nothing personal when you leave players out. What you're trying to do is get a result, and certainly I know that's what Ian Foster will be doing with the All Blacks, and he'll be wanting to turn it around this weekend, like we're trying to get a Test series win away from home. So everybody's got that same goal, but from time to time you do come under a lot of pressure.
I remember when Ted was coaching. A couple more questions. We'll let you go, mate. And thank you so much for your time ahead of that third test, the deciding test. I remember when Ted was coaching Wales, and I don't know if you can remember this, but Wales beat South Africa, and I think it was in '98 or something for the first time in ages in Wales. And he was just basically Saint Ted from that on. So what are you going to be if you win a series, mate?
Yeah, look, your hero 1 minute, zero the next, and it's just the nature of the beast. But certainly, as I say, we refer to it as a sort of a roller coaster, and I'm just fortunate that I like those rides, and it's you get a hell of a boost when you get a good win, and the scenes in our change room last weekend are probably what we stick in there and do it for, because the good times are very, very good.
All right, all the very best then, mate. Massively proud of you, and you don't need me to say that, but we just love watching you doing what you're doing, love watching you winning, and it's incredible going into this weekend where we've got 4 series between the northern and southern hemispheres tied 1-1. As a rugby fan, mate, it doesn't get any better. Let me tell you this.
Yeah. Now, look, we're enjoying watching the games of 4 hours because we get obviously the All Blacks and then we get the England-Australia series. So we've enjoyed watching all of them, and it's a great weekend ahead for rugby lovers.